Welcome to Think Up, Unlimited Possibilities. This show is designed to uplift you as well as explore the cohesive nature of the universe in order to discover the unlimited possibilities available through converging and expanding consciousness. And here's your host, Patricia V. Scott.
Hello. Wow. I love that lead-in music. That was a nice surprise tonight. I like that. I am Patricia Scott. I am your host for Think Up Unlimited Possibilities, where we do explore many, many things beyond what words could ever explain. And this is only the second show of this recording. And I'm in the first show, I set the tone, hopefully, so that you'll know that even though I am a hypnotherapist, I am trained in NLP and biofeedback and a lot of other things, that it's not about the techniques. It's not about the specific things that we use to access the unconscious mind. It is about everyone through history looking for ways to access the amazing unlimited mind. And I love that word unlimited. So there you go. And I notice now today I am under the up symbol. So I'll remind you that up stands for unlimited possibilities. And my friend Adam there just adjusted the microphone, the picture there. So this is the second in a series. Now, I had a little bit of time since the last show to think about how I want to use, what I want to do with this show. This was a calling, so to speak. And the first show, like I said, I hopefully set the tone that it's about exploring how we can be in the best possible state, mindset, source of expectation and possibilities in order to live life to the fullest, be the happiest, the most successful financially in every way possible. And today, I said I was going to be talking about the misconceptions of hypnosis, because again, the word hypnosis for some people sometimes has a little different idea that pops in their head from some movie or some stage show they saw that's different than what I do, that's different than what I understand. I came to hypnosis, interestingly, from the world of showbiz. I started reading and studying books and exploring. I was always fascinated by mind and how the mind and body could work together. And as I said in the first show, as the weeks go on and as is relevant, I will be talking about some of the experiences I had early in life that led me to start exploring, to start looking for what is it that's going on when these dynamics come together. You get that feeling, that insight, that little voice in your head or that gut instinct or whatever your words are for those things. And all of a sudden, you have an absolutely congruent choice in front of you. You have something that you understand is the right choice, is the obvious choice, and you're not even clear on where that came from, but it's a feeling, it's a sense. And every time you follow that, voila, it turns out amazing. So every show, by the way, we do have a call-in number, 727-493-2005 is the call-in number, and you're free to call in anytime because I am very flexible. That's one thing that these techniques teach you to be, is moment by moment in life to go with whatever's happening and to make the most of each moment. So I will look forward to anyone that, as the weeks go by, start to hear about this show and calling in. And I said last week that I would be talking about the misconceptions about hypnosis, because again, hypnosis is a field of study. It is something that I was drawn to and came to from a lot of other areas as I was exploring what was happening in my life at times when I had physical or emotional challenges, and I was working through them and finding things that were working. And then it's almost like you're looking for, what was that? What was it that was going on when that happened? That seemingly, by some people's standards, miraculous transformation or change or insight or creative moment that happened. So all of those things through my life led me to where I am now, having been in the practice of hypnosis and NLP and all these other things, mind-body medicine, that kind of thing, for over 20 years. I'm in my 21st year now, officially doing it, and unofficially, I guess you'd call it, for about 20 years before that. So here we go. So every show, I also decided that I want to give something away because why not? And as we find out things, hopefully we pass down through history whatever we've learned and don't have to keep learning the same lessons, although it does seem that way sometimes, doesn't it? So my goal with this show is, as I'm coming up with new ideas, is to, every time you listen, to be able to offer you something that if you email me at info@uphypnosis.com, and uphypnosis.com obviously is the website. And if you email me and say you heard this show, I will send you a list of some information about what hypnosis is and what are the misconceptions. What really is it? What is the scientific study of the mind that I, from my frame of reference, is called hypnosis. So if you're interested in more of that, I can send you a PDF download that you can just get and do your own exploration into the unlimited mind. So the other thing, I will be having guests on from time to time. I know some amazing people. I've had the privilege of meeting so many amazing people in this field, people I've worked with as clients, and also people just that are doing this kind of work or similar areas of work in consciousness exploration, which is what this show is designed to be about. Again, it's not, I don't want to get stuck on that word hypnosis. And yet, since that's the field of study I was drawn to that explained a lot of what I was exploring, I don't have a problem with that word. I love that word and I understand it for what it is. It's a science. It's a science of the mind. So if you're not past that yet, and if you listen long enough, my goal is that you will get past that. So here we go. One of the misconceptions about hypnosis is that you lose consciousness. That's a scary thought, isn't it? Yeah. This misconception is common, and it ranges from people who are afraid of falling asleep to a fear of going unconscious or feeling as if they were knocked out. Now, I know there's been a few movies out there that definitely perpetuated that concept. And if you saw any of those movies, kind of put those in the background for the next few minutes while you listen to what is true about that. So this, again, it's based on primarily false or misrepresentations in film and TV, those kind of things. Also, stage hypnotists continue to manifest the myth in the name of entertainment. That's what it is. It's entertainment. And like any other field of study, any other tool, it can always be used in ways that are a little less legitimate or a little more nefarious. A good salesman can talk you into with the right language patterns and some of the same techniques that a hypnotist uses, and confusion and overload and those kind of things. And before you know it, oh my gosh, what did I just do? You snap out of it eventually. And by the way, we'll talk a little bit more about how you do snap out of hypnosis eventually as well. So it doesn't help that the word hypnosis actually originated from the Greek word for sleep. So a lot of people have the idea, that you go to sleep, that you go into some kind of sleep state. Many modern hypnotists avoid using the word sleep. I happen to be one from that school of thought. A lot of hypnotists still use sleep as a startle effect, as a word, because it does represent to the neurology, the physiology, that you're going to be very relaxed, let go a little bit is what more of that's about. So I avoid using it in when I'm working with clients because of the stigma that's associated to the word. I see no problem with using the sleep word as long as sufficient explanation has been made in the preliminary interview. In reality, and by the way, I'm a certified trainer, so when I teach hypnosis classes, when I'm teaching people hypnosis, we talk about all the different styles because my style may not be the same as someone else's, obviously. In reality, the person being hypnotized is fully aware at all times. Now, to say you're fully aware doesn't exactly explain when people come back and say, I don't remember anything. So we'll get into that a little bit later, but you are actually in a heightened state of awareness. And I truly believe that even more now than when I first read it many years ago. Hypnosis actually allows you to be more focused on this, the specific purpose or goal that you're looking for, that you're wanting to achieve. and to tune out any distractions, any outside thoughts, any negative ideas that might prohibit you from accomplishing what you want in the normal conscious state. So, as long as the hypnotherapist is careful to give the correct suggestions regarding that they stay mentally focused and aware while being physically relaxed, there should be no worry that you'll actually fall asleep during this kind of work. And again, sometimes it feels like you were asleep because you just get so relaxed, and what a wonderful thing that's able to be. And one of the most common side effects that I hear about from people, no matter what they came in to work on, is that they're sleeping better, even if we didn't address that directly, because the physical body needs that letting go, that relaxation. So even if you did fall asleep, though, it would automatically the hypnotic part of the therapy would still work, I believe. They've done studies on people that are under anesthesia in the hospital, and now doctors and nurses are learning how to speak to people when they're under anesthesia, because the unconscious mind doesn't sleep. It's always responding, and the brain is releasing chemicals, and the body's responding. They still know by doing brain scans that they're responding to everything being said in the operating room. So the more enlightened and well-informed medical people are learning how to speak to people when they're in that very vulnerable, is one way to say it, because they're, obviously when you're under anesthesia, you're very vulnerable. But again, I have a profound respect that the unconscious mind will protect people when they're in hypnosis. And I have some different examples of that I'll give as time goes on. So here we go. So some people think that if you're hypnotized, you'll be surrendering your will. Now, this has become known as the Svengali effect. It stems from the fictitious novel that has since been proliferated in films and comic strips and all that. Films such as The Manchurian Candidate, for instance. They tend to equate hypnosis with brainwashing associated with torture in a wartime setting. And people who have brought this into this concept, if they've heard about hypnosis in this way or think about it in this way, they may be convinced that wartime trauma and torture can create specific, special circumstances that don't apply in everyday life. So, if someone's under a hypnotic trance, for lack of a better word, if someone is in hypnosis, which is concentrated, focused attention, and they've gone in for a specific, good, healthy, positive purpose for their life, their health, whatever, and they're told to do something like go rob a bank, the person is not going to do that. Now, I have a caveat to that, because if someone all their life had a secret, maybe they saw Bonnie and Clyde when they were a kid, and maybe they had a secret longing or a secret curiosity about what it would be like to be a bank robber, they might actually act a little bit on that. And yet, that's very likely not going to happen, because your morals, your ethics, everything stays intact and in place. And again, if you want to call into this show, I want to make sure that I take pauses here now and then as I get wrapped up in this stuff, because I can talk forever, which is maybe one reason why I got this show, so I can just talk forever. And you can call in on 727-493-2055. And this is Talk WAD Radio, talkwad.com. I'm on Thursdays, 7:30 to 8:30. And if you call in, I'll be happy to answer any questions you have, if I'm able. So with regard to antisocial behavior now, we were talking about surrendering your will. I enjoyed reading Milton Erickson's insightful take on this subject. He's quoted as saying that there are people who will discount the theoretical possibility of hypnosis, yet will insistently attribute miraculous, effective antisocial powers to even a single hypnotic suggestion. Kahn says the idea of coercion under hypnosis belongs in the category of folklore. If this did occur, it would be because the person already harbored an antisocial impulse, like I was talking about with the robbing the bank. If you had a secret desire. So if someone gets up on a stage and they're doing stage hypnosis, and were raised very prim and proper and modest, and they were told to strip, if they had a little secret longing in their mind to strip, guess what? They may very well do that. Now, on the good or bad side, depending on how you think about it, they would then have an excuse. They'd have an out. They could say, well, the hypnotist made me do it. But in reality, the hypnotist can't make you do anything that isn't already a part of your want, your character, your desire, your morals, or your ethics. And that is true. So some people think the more that hypnosis is for gullible people, people that are weak-minded. Now, if they think that you have to be weak-minded or gullible to be a good hypnotic subject, that is absolutely diametrically opposed to the truth. Because, on the contrary, research has shown that people of high intelligence make the best hypnotic subjects. I'm always sure to relate this to people because, most of us, if someone says that to you, you'll say, yes, I'm smart. I must be a good hypnotic subject. And by the way, it's true. And I have found that to be true. When I get lawyers, I love it when I get a right brain person who says, I'm not sure if I can be hypnotized because I'm so right brain and I'm so type A personality, those kind of things. Those are beliefs. Those are trained and learned in beliefs and expectations. And they have a certain personality, a persona that they've developed around that. And what I have found through the years doing this work is that it really is true. Those people, once you get them to realize they have the ability to relax, to focus, to think in ways that allow them to be more efficient, to tap into their abilities, their talents, their skills, then they are the best hypnotic subjects because they can follow directions, because they can tap into their higher intelligence inside. And that's the way I think of this work. So I actually have had people say, I'm afraid to be hypnotized because I might have some deep, dark secret, lurking at the unconscious level. Thank you, Freud. Anyway, so, people may be afraid that they might reveal some private, intimate, or embarrassing episode from their life while under hypnosis. I believe that some people are actually secretly afraid that they may have a dark side of their personality that might surface during hypnosis and cause them embarrassment or even pain. Reassurance that they're always aware of everything while hypnotized when they're under hypnosis. And it's not that the conscious mind, by the way, even remembers everything, and that very often isn't the case. And yet the unconscious mind, just like under anesthesia we were talking about, it is reacting and responding based on the core basic beliefs and attitudes and expectations of the person, is going to act on what is being said, what is happening around them. So the same when you're working with a hypnotherapist is that person, their unconscious mind is going to be listening and scanning for what matches up to their beliefs, to what they know to be right for that person. Also, I always tell people the subconscious always is working toward the desired goal that is the focus of the therapy, the focus of the hypnosis session. Part of the job of the subconscious is to keep us safe. One of the prime directives of the unconscious, subconscious mind, I kind of interchange those two terms. That part of our mind that's outside of our awareness at any given moment when we're awake and alert. The unconscious mind it is to run the body. It functions every bodily function. So when something is happening in the body that is less than efficient and can be improved upon, and I do a lot of medical hypnotherapy, then the unconscious all of a sudden wakes up and says, oh, you've given me permission now to take this amount of time when you're kind of out of the way, when the conscious mind and all those maybe limiting thoughts or fears or doubts and those things kind of step aside temporarily. And you've given me permission now to do what really is possible. So there you go. Some people are afraid they won't come out of hypnosis. I know there's been some great movies about this. I haven't seen it, but I heard there's a Jim Carrey movie where he gets hypnotized and the hypnotist has a heart attack and drops dead right after telling him that he's going to cluck like a chicken. So for the rest of the movie, I hear he clucks like a chicken, and that doesn't happen. That's movies. That's not reality. Some people think they might get stuck in the state of hypnosis, stuck in limbo, so to speak. Actually, people will spontaneously dehypnotize themselves if anything unusual or uncomfortable should occur during the session. Also, if the person is really tired and needs some rest, they might just fall asleep for a while. They will eventually come out. If anything helpful, useful, or healthy for the person happened while they were in hypnosis, if any of those kinds of suggestions that are in line with what they're there for, happen to match up to what they need or want or desire, then those suggestions will be able to go in even better. So I don't have I've learned through the years not to be too concerned about the level of trance or the depth of trance. Everybody does that. Everybody says you have to be somnambulistic or be really deep in trance to do anesthesia hypnosis, which I also do. Now I go to the dentist and I just had 6 front crowns put on my teeth about 5-6 months ago, something like that. And how deep was I? I could still hear when he said, turn your head. I could still turn my head. I could still listen. Actually, he talked way more than I wish he would have, even though I said, please don't talk unless it's necessary. And yet, how deep was I? I had trained in the ability to phase out those things that were going to draw me back into the experience or back into what was going on in my mouth. And, for 2 sessions of getting those 6 front crowns put on, I was able to be in my mind most of the time, except a few moments when he drew me back in. I was in Hawaii. I was on the beach. I was having a great time. When the drill started, I heard boat motors out on the water. They were just out there. I just got absorbed in that experience in my imagination. And since the imagination runs the body, it was amazing. It still is amazing to me. I've been doing this for many years, and I'm still fascinated by how powerful the imagination is. So there you go. Now, there is some confusion between hypnotizability and gullibility. And as I stated earlier, the hypnotizability of a person actually demonstrates a strong mental state and a strong will or desire toward a goal, a positive goal. The subject, the person in hypnosis, they're always in control of the outcome. If someone didn't want to take a suggestion or it was against their morals or ethics, it just gets instantly rejected by the unconscious mind because that's where all of that is stored. Some people think a dominant personality is required to be a hypnotist. Now, the hypnotist is merely guiding. I always tell people, I'm your guide. I facilitate your experience. If you read any books at all on hypnosis, it's all self-hypnosis. And what that means is you have to cooperate. You have to go along with the experience. Before I get a little bit more into the dominant personality of the hypnotist kind of thing, there's back to the Svengali effect. I want to mention that this and some of the future shows that I'll be doing on this network, by the way, it's the Empowerment Network. It's that part of the talkwad.com. You go to empowerment and think up unlimited possibilities in that section. And I'll be getting this out as I learned all this new high-tech stuff. And some of these shows will be designed for my hypnosis certification classes to be continuing education or to be, for people who need credit, but also to be additional coursework where people can write a paper on the show. So I'm working to make some of these shows like this one. If you can explain all of these misconceptions, you can be out in the world explaining what this is all about intelligently. And there will be some papers that my students can write for additional credit towards certification. And by the way, we certify through the International Association of Counselors and Therapists. I'm also a life fellow with the International Medical and Dental Hypnotherapy Association. That's one of my proudest things. And I think most, if not all, organizations, unless they're geared more for the licensed, like mental health counselors and that kind of thing, all of the hypnosis organizations, the major ones that I know about, all accept my training for continuing education as well. So sometimes you need a little bit of extra credit to keep your membership with these organizations. This would count as well. And you can contact me again at uphypnosis.com or email me at info@uphypnosis.com, and I will send you the information about how to get credit for this being the first of the ones that you can actually do a paper on about the misconceptions, demythologizing, some people say, hypnosis. So again, back to the dominant personality, the hypnotist. We're guiding. We are facilitating. And there's a predetermined goal that hopefully if the hypnotist is skilled, has set that up at the very beginning before you ever start the ritual of hypnosis, the hypnotic process at the unconscious level that goes more for the unconscious, that you've already established that goal very specifically, very positively. So that the unconscious mind, with the skill of the hypnotist that knows how to use the language of that area of your mind, can get that information in. And I think of it as opening up the channel to the unconscious. You can use willpower and conscious effort and conscious what sounds like really good and positive goals for yourself. But if you've been doing it a long time and you keep repeating over and over and over, which is supposedly one way to hypnotize yourself, but if you've been doing that and it's not working, it means that the unconscious mind is not getting that message. And you know what Einstein said, you keep doing the same thing, you're not getting the result. You want to do something different. Hypnosis, NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, all of these things that I have been drawn to teach how to think efficiently, how to finesse the language, I like to say, so that you can talk to your unconscious mind, or you can have someone else talk to it, in the case of working with a hypnotist, and that you can get that message through, that you can open up that channel and get the efficient language in. So the skills and the personality of the hypnotist must be compatible with the subject. Compatible with the subject. So you have to be really comfortable with the person you're working with. That's equally as important as having an important goal for yourself that you're passionate about. The more excited you are, I tell people, the more excited your unconscious mind is going to be. Some people are more responsive to a domineering type of personality. My mother was one of these. She, years ago, before I ever knew I was going to be a hypnotist, but I'd been studying it for a few years, and she called me one day out in California, is where I was at the time, and she said, I quit smoking. And I said, oh, cool. And she said she went to a hypnotist, and she just fell in love with this guy's voice. He had one of these deep radio voices. And, he had a very dominant type of personality. That worked for her. Whatever works. And I know a lot of great hypnotists in the Tampa Bay area, actually all around the world at this point. I have contact and information, if not firsthand, then ways that I can find it on people all over the place that can help someone to find the right person, the right personality that they're comfortable with. And some people get better results with a more passive type of therapist, someone that's got a more softer, gentler way. The most important thing is that you're comfortable, that you have confidence in the skill of the person you're working with. So how do we as hypnotherapists, people that I deal with, people that I work with, people that I interact with, my colleagues, how do we ameliorate our clients' preconceived misconceptions about hypnosis? It's of the utmost importance to address the issue of common misconceptions about hypnosis and to dispel any false ideas the client might have before you even begin the induction or any kind of hypnotherapy even begins. When I began my practice, I found that the most valuable training I had received was in how to conduct an effective interview, how to dispel these myths that are out there in some areas about hypnosis. After my usual speech about the common myths, I would always ask the client if there were any other questions, any other concerns that they may have regarding hypnosis. Maybe they have something I hadn't even heard of before, because there's exceptions to everything, and everyone has lived their own life. So you want to answer those questions. And I soon discovered that a thorough interview was the single most important aspect of the process. It went a long way toward assuring success during the hypnosis session. And having said that, I'll now list some of the misconceptions again that I've encountered and give some examples. And for people writing a paper, this might be helpful to kind of spark your creative juices to see, how do you answer these things? Because people come up to you all the time. If you're like me and you're very proud to be a hypnotist, a hypnotherapist, and you tell people, and I go to the Chamber of Commerce and I go to the different networking events, and I'm very proud of what I do. I'm big on that. And, it's my goal to help them to understand if they don't already. So some people will say, well, will I go to sleep or will I be unconscious? Actually, during hypnosis, you're more aware and able to focus your attention on the specific thought or idea on which you wish to concentrate. So if you think about a golfer, I like to use that as an example. Golfers, they're out, maybe they're in a tournament. They're out there, they're talking, they're laughing, they're enjoying the beautiful day, walking around, eyes open, wide awake, beta consciousness, as we say. And then it becomes time to address the ball. And I work with golfers, and they've already trained in through all their practice, through all they've done. They know how to hit that ball. If they don't already know how to hit it, now is not the time to start practicing. So once it's time to address the ball, let's say in a tournament, They've trained themselves to go into this little mini trance, and the rest of the world just kind of gets farther away, and they get very focused, very quiet inside. Their motions and everything goes on kind of automatic. Well, not kind of, actual automatic. They've already trained in the moves. Their mind, they're looking at the ball, they see the hole. Their unconscious mind is already trained in the distance, the amount of pressure, the stance, all of that. They can't be thinking about that in that moment. So they go into a mini trance. And then they hit the ball in the hole. And this has gone on forever in sports. They call it getting into the zone. And then they pop back out, and just a little mini trance for whatever amount of seconds is required to get the job done, to eliminate the distractions, to kind of phase out or filter out anything that would interfere with that mind body getting together and doing what it already knows how to do. And that's really how I think of this work. So let's see here. The word sleep, again, is sometimes used only because of the relaxation you feel in your body and in your mind. It resembles the release of tension that's felt just before falling asleep. And you do hear, one of my colleagues says, if you're, you're hearing, you're taking in through your ears, and you're receiving information. So you hear and remember everything unconsciously, although your conscious mind doesn't always remember everything. You find that your ability to concentrate is actually enhanced, which is when I work with people for test taking, both teenagers and adults. I don't work with small children. I have some people I refer out to that are excellent for that. But when I've worked with people, and a lot of times like accountants, lawyers, insurance people that have to take these pretty extreme exams. And hypnosis is a great way to focus on while you're studying. There's a way to get into that learning state. And then when you go to take the exam, to filter out all of those things that seem to be almost designed to make you nervous for some reason. And you go into this state, and then it's like you open up that channel to the unconscious where you've already learned and studied. And it just comes right out. It falls right out on the paper is what I say and what I hear people say. They come back and they say, yeah, it's like the answers just fell out on the paper because there isn't that tension, there isn't that stress that would shut down that channel. So there you go. Some people, again, they think they'll lose control or surrender their will. How I answer that is I say, no, that only happens in the movies or in novels. All hypnosis is actually self-hypnosis. You're in control at all times. If you should ever be given a suggestion that's inconsistent with your goals or against your beliefs or your desires, your mind would simply reject the suggestion completely. That's your subconscious mind. Your unconscious mind is running your body. You know you can trust it. It knows what's going on. It knows what's best for you. It knows what's right for you. It knows what's healthy for you. And in future shows, I'm going to be really focusing in on some of the shows on the physical, the medical side of hypnosis, because that is my particular specialty and my love. And it truly is nothing less than miraculous how the mind and body can combine efforts and access ability to take care of so many things that are thought to be either incurable or that can't be dealt with on other levels or through some outside source like drugs and things like that. But that's another show. So if you were to be in an emergency, let's say, or you simply felt uncomfortable, or you wished to end the session for any reason, you'd be able to immediately come out of hypnosis at any time, even if you weren't even consciously aware of what it was that made you want to do that. Your unconscious mind is like a silent protector. It's always there, always paying attention, very efficiently taking care and protecting you. So let's see here. Oh, some people think they might do or say something embarrassing or release some private hidden demons or secret from their past. Again, I tell people, let me assure you that you'll always be aware of everything that is happening, and your subconscious mind has a way of protecting you from harming yourself or jeopardizing you in any way. It knows why you're there, basically. If you're doing a hypnotic process, as opposed to just doing meditation, which is also putting you into the alpha state and theta. Once you get more experienced, you can get into theta brainwave state. It's a brainwave state. And it's a state conducive to accomplishing things, to accessing things, to healing. And if you're doing hypnosis, you set up a goal, again, a very specific goal, a point of focus, an outcome that you're looking for, something you want your mind to do in hypnosis. That's what differentiates it from meditation. It's still that same healthy state, brainwave state, and yet the difference is you're setting up a goal. You're asking your mind to do something while you're in that state. And I always say, why waste a good trance? So while you're there, you might as well, your mind is unlimited in multitasking. You might as well have it doing something towards some positive goal in your life or health goal while you're there having that wonderful, relaxing experience. So there you go. Uh, does being hypnotizable mean you're gullible? We kind of already covered that. Absolutely not. Simply means that you trust your own instincts to do what's best for your well-being, for your health. Anything suggested that is inappropriate or unreasonable would not be carried out by the unconscious. That's right. And even if it was in the case of being on stage and doing something kind of silly or stupid or embarrassing, you would snap out of it very quickly. Even a good salesman can talk you into doing something temporarily. And, by overloading the mind or distracting you or confusing you, anything can be used for negative purposes. And yet, to do this work, to allow your mind and body to work more efficiently, what more wonderful thing is there than to use the amazing gifts and resources we've been given for this life? So, let's see here. What if I can't wake up? And I always remind them that I said, you're always aware. You're always in control. If anything makes you feel uncomfortable, or if there was an emergency, if you're doing a very, very deep, deep, deep state of hypnosis, and a fire engine comes up and starts banging on the door, you're going to be more alert, more efficient at dealing with it than you normally are because your mind is clear. You're more focused, just like hitting the golf ball, just like anything else. So those are really misconceptions, and they're it's very easy to dissuade people from knowing that by giving them some examples in the other direction. One of the things that I have heard beyond what we've already talked about, and it is a fairly common misconception, is that people say, they'll say to me, I hear that most people can't be hypnotized, or that not everyone can be hypnotized. And, usually this stems from either a lack of understanding regarding what hypnosis is, or a previous experience, or an incompetent, hypnotherapist maybe they'd worked with in the past. And, it's a review of some of the points that I've already made and an explanation of what hypnosis really is usually dispels this idea. Sometimes a brief demonstration, such as having them close their eyes and imagine that they have a lemon and they're holding a lemon in their hands and they can feel the texture of the lemon. And then they take a knife and slice that lemon in half, and that juice is dripping down their fingers and down their arm. And then they take that lemon and put it up to their nose and take a nice deep breath and breathe in that lemon. And then just take a nice big bite out of that lemon and feel it on their tongue and on their teeth and on the inside of their mouth, and the dripping lemon juice going down their chin. And even just talking, I'm getting saliva just saying that quickly, and there's more ways to do that, but just even talking about it lightly like that, when you put your focus on something, when you think about something, your imagination starts to create, to some extent, that reality at the unconscious level. We call them, in neurolinguistic programming and NLP, we call them IRs, internal representations. That's what the unconscious does. It takes in whatever you're aware of, whatever is being said or done or observed visually in your environment, and whatever you focus on starts to elicit a response. In the imagination creates that. I'm looking at a pot of flowers over on the other side of the room now. I don't even know if they're real flowers. I'd have to get up and go over there, but I'm not going to do that. And I'm looking over there, and I realize those flowers, I can imagine their beautiful color, that if I really think about what those flowers might smell like, my mind will go through the archives and create some kind of a flower scent. It may not be accurate. And also, when people imagine something horrible happening in their life, they're not always accurate, but they still develop physical manifestations of that worry or that dread or that what if something terrible happens. And their body starts to go into that fight or flight response. And then they end up with manifestations of all those chemicals in the body. It doesn't matter if it's real, because the creative imagination is what runs the show. If you're in the woods and you look off in the distance and you're taking a walk in the woods and you see way off in the distance come out from behind a tree a bear, immediately your instincts, your internal representation of reality is going to kick in, and the adrenaline and the blood pressure and the heartbeat and everything's going to start getting into that fight or flight response. Now, if right after that happens, the bear takes off its head and you realize it's someone making a commercial, and this is an actor wearing a bear costume, instantly, based on that input, the unconscious mind adjusts all of the above: the blood pressure, the heartbeat. All of these things go back to what is matching up to what the internal representation is. So it's not about reality, it's about what you perceive reality to be. And we have a lot more control over that than we realize. So some people say, I hear most people can't be hypnotized. Again, it's a lack of understanding, a review of some of the points that I already gave, and also a brief demonstration like the lemon. If you can imagine a lemon and you get any kind of imagining going and any kind of physical response, that is a good indicator that you're allowing your creative mind to do some things for you. So one of the things, by the way, that I'm giving away, because I said every time I do one of these shows, I want to give away something. So if you email me at info@uphypnosis.com or go to my website, uphypnosis.com, and email me through that and tell me you heard this show, I will send you not this exact one, but it is a little booklet form in PDF of misconceptions of hypnosis. If you have interest in further exploring this, or if you're looking for some continuing education credits, this would be an appropriate way to use this as well. Everyone's heard of the placebo effect. I want to get into that a little bit. The placebo effect is said to be the one constant in medicine. The success of placebos, be it in drug therapy or psychotherapy, is due to the same basic factors that hold true for hypnosis and also, by the way, for faith healing. The physician serves as the primary therapeutic agent, while the imagination of the patient carries out the necessary cure with his faith and enthusiasm. So when someone's given a placebo by a man in a white coat that's supposed to know what he's doing, or she, and they expect that something is going to happen, that's the placebo effect. The rapport that is created between the physician and the patient creates confidence, expectation, that a cure is possible, or that relief is possible. Environmental and cultural factors also play a role in this placebo effect. If the patient is experiencing severe pain or stress and is told by the physician that this new wonder drug has had miraculous effects on many of his patients, the placebo effect will be enhanced. This is proven. Now, pain, by the way, for lack of a more appropriate word, is very conducive to hypnosis. Hypnosis is a great way to manipulate pain, to gain control over the pain experience, the pain signal, which is a miraculous signal our body has, obviously, to let us know something needs attention. You don't want to ignore those signals. You want to address them, figure out what there is to do in a positive, hopefully healthy way. And then there's no more reason to be in discomfort. And like I said, in the dentist office, they're taking care of what needs to be taken care of. There's no reason to be in discomfort while they are doing their adjustments on the teeth. And that's the way that works. In psychotherapy, as in hypnotherapy, the placebo effect may account for the fact that similar results can often be obtained using contradictory therapies. If there is a strong interpersonal relationship between the therapist and the patient, the expectation that some useful form of therapy is being employed will produce the desired results. Even in studies with biofeedback training, and I think I mentioned I did some training in EEG biofeedback because I was really curious. What are those brain waves doing when we're in that state I call hypnosis? There may be some placebo effect that is partially responsible for the results in biofeedback training. I think of biofeedback machine as, once I finished the training I took, I think, well, the biofeedback's saying It's showing me on a screen or whatever what's happening in my mind. And yet it's still happening in the mind, even if you aren't seeing it on the screen. If you see the result without the screen, it isn't the biofeedback machine that's doing it. It's like, again, it's like taking something from the outside and thinking it's affecting you. You can manipulate your brain waves on your own. And yes, you can register it on a machine and see that result. And yet it's happening inside of the person. That's one thing I love about this work. So, in cardiac disorders, the placebo effect of drugs and even surgical procedures such as the Weinberg operation has been documented and recognized. The treatment of allergies by injection has also been speculated to be successful in part due to the placebo effect. I know in hypnosis, we deal with allergies in 1 to 3 sessions. You can get rid of an allergy. We do it all the time. There's a allergy clinic in Texas. Dr. Ann King, one of my colleagues that I've known for many, many years, did a blood test study at an allergy clinic. They did the blood test before and after a single session of hypnosis and documented it in this study. And people, about 70% of the people were losing an allergy in a single session. Some required 2 or 3 sessions. And yet the mind made that correction at the unconscious level. So the same can be said of treatments for arthritis, rheumatism, headaches, to some degree even diabetes and other metabolic diseases. Now I'm going to get more into the medical, like I said, in another show because I don't have time here. Some of the materials that I drew from the information I'm doing today is from this book, if you can see that on screen, and it is Clinical and Experimental Hypnosis by William S. Kroger. It's kind of one of the Bibles, one of the textbooks that is kind of a staple in my field, and it was one of the first ones that I did some research and some work on early in my career in hypnosis. And it documents, and if you read medical literature from the medical journals, they refer to William Kroger and his studies from the clinical and experimental hypnosis is quoted quite often in the medical community. So again, nobody called in tonight, but I know as I keep going, I'm going to hopefully get some call in, and I will be bringing in some guests to augment the show. The call in number 727-493-2055. This is talkwad.com, and this show is under the empowerment section. It's called Think Up, Unlimited Possibilities. That's what the UP stands for, and I talked about that a little bit in my first show. And just to remind you, that came because of what I've experienced personally way before I got into this as a practice, as a career. And this is my 21st year in this business, and I'm going to be wrapping it up now. This is Patricia Scott. Adam gave me the signal there. And this is Think Up, Unlimited Possibilities. Please join me again Thursdays, 7:30 to 8:30.
Welcome to Think Up, Unlimited Possibilities. This show is designed to uplift you as well as explore the cohesive nature of the universe in order to discover the unlimited possibilities available through converging and expanding consciousness. And here's your host.